I think so.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the June 8, 2023 public hearing of the Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Commission. The Planning and Zoning Commission is charged with regulating the subdivision properties in the unincorporated areas of Jefferson County. You will be given a decision of the commission today regarding subdivision request, and the plat representative will receive the decision within 10 business days. Please note that any subdivision approved today is not complete. In order to complete the subdivision, your property, a final plat, must be recorded in the office of the probate judge. County staff will be coordinating with the surveyors of today's approved primary plats to prepare the approval plats for recording. The Planning and Zoning Commission is also charged with evaluating requests for rezoning of property and advising the County Commission for their final determination. All decisions by the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding zoning cases are advisory only, and the final determination of the zoning will be made by the Jefferson County Commission in a subsequent public hearing for which all property owners within 500 feet will be notified. At this time, I request that everybody silence your electronic devices, your phone, or put them on vibrate, please. Will the clerk please call a roll?
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Thank you. Do we have a motion regarding the reading of the minutes from the May 11th, 2023 public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to suspend the reading of the May meeting minutes and approve as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll first hear subdivision cases. The staff will present the case to the board, and we will then call for opposition. The applicant and or the representative may be asked to come forward to the podium and answer any questions. If you do, please state your name and address, please. Mr. Barton, would you please present the first case, S23-0030?
Yes, sir. This is a proposed subdivision. Apply it to work here. This is a proposed subdivision of 3 acreage tracts into 3 lots of record. Essentially, it's a moving of a boundary line. You can see here on our tax map, there's these tax parcel lines that are shown. There's 3 current tracts. Whenever you move a boundary line like this, it does constitute a subdivision case. As such, it's a 3-lot subdivision here. There is one small carport, what I'm told is a mobile carport structure that's not currently meeting the setback right here between 2 of these lots. So that will have to be moved prior to the plat being recorded. But other than that, it does meet all the requirements of A1 zoning. There's no anticipated road access or traffic operation issues. No right-of-way dedication is required. No floodplain, and there's no sewer available, so the Department of Health will have to approve on-site septic system. Staff does recommend approval for this subdivision.
Thank you. Open the floor for public hearing. Is any opposition to this case? Is the applicant present? Do you wish to add to it?
Yes, sir. The mobile carport.
Will you please, podium, please, sir, your name and address.
All right. My name is Adam Bishop. My address is 885 Arkadelphia Road. And the mobile carport on that site, on that setback, has been moved. It's been moved significantly away from the setback zone.
This time I close the public hearing and call for a motion.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'd like a motion for approved case number S23-0030.
Second, Mr. Chair.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next case is S23-0032, property owner Randy and Patty Cunningham, Shirley Cunningham, applicant Steve Allen.
Yes, this is a proposed subdivision to split 2 existing lots of record into 3 lots of record for residential use. This is A1 zoning here. This was originally recorded in 2013, administratively approved, 2 lots here. As I mentioned, they are creating a 3rd lot in between the 2 existing tracks. This complies with all our zoning regulations. Easement will need to be modified to 30 feet there to Lot 2A. There's no anticipated traffic operation issues. There's no additional right-of-way that's required. No floodplain on this property, and again, no sanitary is available, so the Department of Health will have to approve the on-site septic system. Staff does recommend approval with an exception to the subdivision regulations to allow the lot to be recorded without any road frontage.
This time, open the floor for any opposition. Is the applicant here? Any questions, concerns from the commission? This time, I close the public hearing and ask for a motion, please.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for approval for case number S230032 with an exception to the subdivision regulations that allow Lot 2A to be recorded with no road frontage.
Second.
Have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition, opposed? Motion carries. Our next case is S23-0033, property owner Mark Ward, applicant Robert Lake.
Yes, sir. The purpose of this subdivision is to split 1 acreage tract into 2 lots of record for the purpose of creating a commercial business. This property is the subject of a recent rezoning case. March 9th, the county commission approved the rezoning for the portion, the north portion of this the subdivision, Lot 1, for the commercial business. The staff has completed the review of this. It does comply with all our zoning regulations. Traffic has reviewed it. There may be some additional right-of-way required along for a turn lane. The site plan is currently being reviewed by county staff right now, so that determination has yet to be made yet. Research has shown that there is some right-of-way gaps that exist, so a minimum of 30-foot wide right-of-way measured from the center line of the road will have to be dedicated to the county. That's on Mount Olive Road right here. No floodplain present, and there's no sanitary available, so the Department of Health will have to approve the on-site septic system. Staff does recommend approval for this 2-lot subdivision.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Open the floor for any opposition to this case. Is the applicant here? Would you like to add anything? This time I close the floor public hearing and ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like a motion for approval on case number S220033.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next case is S23-0035, property owners Karen Vineyard, Basil Sloan, Sloan Family Investment, applicant Chris Sloan.
Yes, sir. The purpose of this subdivision is to resurvey 3 acreage tracts into 3 lots of record. Again, you can see here on the zoning map here the existing parcel lines. These are being moved slightly, and as such would constitute a subdivision. So it's a resurvey 3 acreage tracts into these 3 lots of record. This does comply with all our zoning regulations for A1. There's no anticipated traffic operation issues here. Right-of-way dedication will be required for Sloan Drive, 25 foot from center line, and also Warrior Jasper Road, 30 feet from the center line, where adjacent to the property. There's no floodplain on this property, and again, no sanitary available, so the Department of Health will have to approve any on-site septic systems here. Staff does recommend approval for this subdivision.
Open the floor for any opposition at this time for this case. Is the applicant here? Would you like to add to anything? This time I close the floor. Call for a motion.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for approval on case number S230035.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next case is S23-0036, property owner Infinity Investment LLC, applicant Jabari Mosley.
So the purpose of this subdivision is to create a 49-lot subdivision development for single-family housing. This property is the subject of a recent rezoning case, and it's two different parcels. A portion of it was A1 until last year. It was July last year that County Commission did approve a request to rezone that property from A1 to R1S. And so it all has the same zoning classification now. The staff has reviewed this subdivision case, and it does comply with all our zoning regulations. Traffic has noted that a turnaround would need to be provided on Quail Drive. Since then, the plat has been revised to show that turnaround apparatus, meeting the code that was presented. Right-of-way dedication will be required for the end of Quail Drive where that turnaround is being created. There's no floodplain on this property, and there is sewer, and as such, the environmental services will have to approve and sign the final plat here. We did have several letters of opposition that came in via email that's in your packet there. I believe an email was sent to the neighborhood, and several people signed, and that is there in your packet. Staff does recommend approval for this subdivision.
This time I open the floor. Is there any opposition to this? Okay, let me ask one thing. If y'all maybe get a spokesperson for your group, let them express all their concerns, but if you need to add to it, that'll be fine. But one at a time, please, and the podium and state your name and address. Yes, sir.
My name is Dwight Studdard, 2188 Scenic Drive. I am current president of the Forest Dale Neighborhood Association, and my members object to this. There was not proper notification. Most people called me Wednesday last week saying they had gotten notice of this and they didn't have adequate time to get out from work and prepare to be here to object to it. So I'm here to object on behalf of the whole Forest View Neighborhood Association. I don't know, I'd like to know, have any traffic surveys been conducted to see what that would do to traffic? Have any type of school surveys have been done to see how it will affect the schools? Can the school have that many new students without having to go to trailers? And we just need more information about it, but right now we strongly oppose it.
Thank you, sir. Is anybody else? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come forward, please.
My name is Larry Kazziah. I spell K-I-Z-Z-I-A-H. I'm the individual who faxed the oppositions to this proposal in yesterday afternoon. Everyone that I spoke with did not receive adequate, timely notifications. I was told by the gentleman, I forget his name, the one that, Andrew is his name, Andrew, at the email address. He called me back and informed me that it had already been zoned R1S1, and that was surprising to me. I'm probably the oldest living resident in Forest View Estates, and I've never received a county notification pending any type of rezoning at all. When I moved there, it was zoned R1 residential. I did not receive my notice pending this meeting until I signed for it on a Monday, and I got busy and tried to start addressing other neighbors in on my street that this property proposal would affect. And of course, it took time to their work, but I finally did get the last one on the 7th, the evening of the 7th, signed opposing this procedure. They opposed it primarily because they didn't know what was going on. They wanted to know how it got from R1 to R1S1. And I would like to know that too. I understand there's supposed to have been a 15-day notice before it ever would be considered for the 15-day notice. Is that correct? That's a question.
We're going to let the staff address the concerns as far as notification.
Okay. Well, in addition, we opposed it on the grounds of improper notification and the fact that a cul-de-sac will have to be, as I understand, will have to be created for the petition. And also, the elevations of the properties, the physical houses, in building trade they call them elevations, the way they look from the street, in other words. None of them are they're all residential type structures. They wouldn't be considered even apartments, is what I'm trying to say. So we oppose any type of multifamily dwellings in this area. But thank you for your diligence.
Thank you, sir.
Is the address?
Oh, your address, I'm sorry.
It's 2125 Cedar Crest Drive, 35214. And the letters of opposition that were faxed to you, I drew a line through the parcel ID on the opposition where they signed, but I did say refer to the case number, and you should have 7 of those.
Yes, sir, we have the letters, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Would anybody else like to speak on this in opposition? I'd like to ask the staff to clarify the notification for Mr. Kazire.
So I want to reiterate, this is a subdivision case. This is not a rezoning case. So subdivision cases notifications have to be sent out the week before. It's only to adjoining landowners. They have to go certified mail, so sometimes there is a delay in when people can actually sign for them if they're not home, not available. But this is standard. Everyone that's adjacent to this property, these 2 parcels, are notified in this typical manner that we always do. The other thing I wanted to add and point out regarding the R1S, the S designation in R1 refers to sanitary. Michael, correct me if I misspeak here, but essentially it's a designation that requires you have to use a sanitary system for waste disposal. Can't use septic system. The parcel that's on the west side here has been zoned that for quite some time. The parcel that was rezoned last year was to the east right here, the smaller parcel. So anybody that was within 500 feet would have received notification of that rezoning last year. It's a 2-step process, so they would receive 2 notifications, one for Planning and Zoning Commission as well as for the County Commission, which makes the final decision in the rezoning. So again, that's clarification for the notifications.
Does that help you answer your question?
I understand the answer given to my objection. However, as I mentioned earlier, I've lived there since 1976, and have never received a notification regarding any type of zoning. If there had been, you should have that on record, correct? Am I correct?
That's correct. We'll have a record of it. Again, if you're not within 500 feet of that rezoning, you would not have received notification. So many of the people along here would not have received that rezoning notification. So.
Anybody else in opposition of this case? Is the applicant here, Mr. Jabari Mosley? Would you like to clarify some concerns for the opposition, please?
All right.
All right, sir.
I'm Jabari Mosley, 4011 First Avenue North, Birmingham. And the first thing I was going to clarify is I think the previous gentleman was speaking about opposition in relation to it being multifamily. We're fairly new developers, but we do plan to bring value to the area, and we don't plan on developing it with multifamily. It's single-family housing that would be to the same standard of the other properties that are currently there. Same similar square footage, just a newer style home. And as far as the schooling and any of the other criteria that needs to be met in order to do this subdivision, we will be sure to have all of those standards met and go through whatever channels need to be gone through to make sure we adhere to schooling and roads and transportation and everything that has to make it right.
Are there any questions or concerns from the commission, please?
I do have a question, and it's really for staff. So I just want to make sure I'm following this. So this case was actually approved. The zoning was approved last year, and so it was approved by this commission. Then it was approved by the county commission, correct? And
Yes, a portion of it.
right. Okay.
There was another portion of it which I just looked at. The larger portion is there to the west. Looks like it was rezoned in 1992 from R1 to R1S.
Okay. So this.
So even then it would have been zoned R1 prior to that.
Right, so it was done well before this meeting today, and there's a record of that. There's all because these meetings are videotaped, and they're kept on archive.
They are currently now, yes.
Okay, they're currently, but at that time they were videotaping the meetings as well. And,
No.
okay,
But there is record.
there is a record. That's what I was trying to see. There was a record of when it was zoned. Okay.
Any other more questions or concerns? At this time, I close the public hearing and call for a motion.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for approval on case number S230036.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, any opposed? Motion carries. Our next case is S23-0037, property owner Michael and April Lively, and Josh Alley, applicant Michael Lively.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a proposal for a 4-lot subdivision. Essentially, it's 4 acreage tracts. They're being conveyed to 4 lots of record and also 1 conservation lot, not for development. These were improperly deeded off and created, so this is a plat of correction, if you will, on this piece of property. So again, 4 lots, 1 conservation lot to the north there, not for development. It does comply with all our zoning regulations. There's a portion of Titan Drive, which is public right-of-way, and that portion of the road will have to be improved to satisfy the requirements of the county subdivision regulations. So that has been made known to the owners about those improvements. Right-of-way dedication will be required for Titan Drive, 25 feet from the center line, where adjacent to the property. There's no floodplain on this property, and there's no sewer, so the Department of Health will have to approve any on-site septic system. Staff does recommend approval for this 4-lot subdivision.
Thank you. Any opposition to this case? Is the applicant here? Would you like to add anything to it, sir? Any questions, comments from the commission? This time I close the public hearing and ask for a motion, please.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to motion for approval on case number S230037.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Our next case is S23-0039. Property owners trustees Alice Hatfield, Gene Comer, and Kathy Fowles. Applicant Alice Hatfield.
Sir, this is a proposed subdivision, split 1 acreage tract into 2 lots of record for residential use. Currently, the zoning on this property is R5B, which is a mobile home park. That's the brown you see here on this map. And the red is C2, it's outdoor amusement. Originally, it was a portion of this was rezoned in 2002 for the use of a go-kart track. That is not in operation at all. So the recommendation has been made to, at some point in time, to remove that zoning and consolidate it. But the proposal is to create 2 lots. My understanding is for the purpose of selling off the mobile home portion of it. Some information has come to light recently since advertising and sending out notifications for this case. There has some questions about existing structures that may be not meeting the setback requirements for this zoning type. And as such, staff has required more information, those structures to be shown on the survey. We've not yet received this information, and as such, we are recommending that this case actually be carried over in order to allow the survey information to be submitted to verify the proper building setbacks. We did have one letter of opposition, as you will see there in your packet, that was submitted by an adjoining property owner with concerns about those structures as well as some other items related to zoning. So the staff recommendation is, again, to carry this case over to get more information.
This time open the public hearing. Any opposition to this case? Yes, sir. Be careful. Please state your name and address, please.
Darrell Paget, 7499 McCombs Mill Road. We own property that runs with the trailer park, and we have problems with where they went in with dozers or machines to build buildings on it. Part of their building is on mine, part of the building is on theirs. The southwest, southeast property line all the way down through there, the trailers are too close to the property line. One of them, they had to go in and move a complete bank to get the trailer in. She's not here right now. It's Goodwin, her last name, but we need to get it straight and corrected and cleaned up.
Yes, sir. There are certain regulations I do have to follow.
Yeah, yeah. But that's we just want to get it handled. I think you got a global survey, which that is not going to show any of the obstructions on the property.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Ms. Hatfield? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's your name and address, please. We have in our notes, this case be carried over. Is that what you want to do?
Yes, sir. Thomas C. Simmons II, 136 Mockingbird Lane, Blunsville, Alabama, 35031. Yes, sir. Per the applicant, we would like to have time to address these issues and bring this to the next meeting to see if we can get all this resolved.
Okay, you know what the concerns are with it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
This time I'll close the public hearing, call for a motion. This motion will be to carry over this case.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I can motion to carry over case number what's my case number? S230039.
I second, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor to carry this case over, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sir, you can receive notification of the next hearing. I think they're going to address your concerns. Y'all can leave. Okay. Next, we will hear zoning cases. The staff will present the case to the board. We will then call for the opposition. The applicant and/or the representative may be asked to come forward to the podium and answer any questions. Each side will have a maximum of 15 minutes. The Planning Commission only makes recommendations on zoning cases. The Jefferson County Commission will make the final decision. Anybody with subdivision cases, you may leave. New zoning cases, case number Z 23-0016. Property owners Justin Warden and Robert Nichols, applicant Justin Warden. Ms. Hughes, will you present the case, please?
Yes, sir. This property is located at 1238 and 1395 Shorttown Branch Road. The applicant is requesting that this property be rezoned from A1 agriculture, C1 commercial, C2 outdoor amusement, C3 commercial, and I1 light industrial to A1 and C2 to remove split zoning and bring the existing property into compliance. What you see here is the location map showing the property there in the purple near the Walker County line in the Oak Grove area. Here we have the area map. The property is outlined in the gold. We have Locust Fork and Valley Creek that runs near the property. The existing land use for this property is cultural/recreational, light industrial, general commercial, blank, which is undecided at this time, and vacant undeveloped property. The future land use is agricultural. The current zoning of the property is C2. The majority of the property with the red stripes, that's out to C2 outdoor amusement. We have the green, which is A1 agriculture. Then we have C1 commercial, 1I light industrial, and then C3, which is commercial. There's a small part that's C3 commercial. There's also a small portion of the property that's within the floodplain. It's on lot 2 near the residence, but it's not, the residence is not in the flood zone. Here we show the proposed layout of the property. The applicant is proposing that this be rezoned into, subdivided into 2 lots. The C2 outdoor amusement will lay on lot 1 there to the north, and lot 2 will be A1 residential. Here are a few pictures of the street view. We have the boating dock to the left and the existing 2-story building there that's currently being used as an office on the 2nd floor and storage on the 1st floor. Staff summary and recommendation. Lot 1, where the applicant is proposing C2 outdoor amusement, will consist of a campground with a renovated bathhouse, boat launch, and a small store/office. It would also have a green space with picnic tables. All this will be on Lot 1, which will compose of 17.83 acres. And the proposed Lot 2 will be A1 zoning. Currently, there is a residence on that property and several accessory structures on 27.27 acres. There is a concurrent subdivision case that will follow. That's S-23-0031. Do want to bring this to your attention that if any development is within the floodplain, a floodplain development permit will be required. Staff is recommending approval. That's all I have for you.
This time open the floor for any opposition to this case. Is the applicant here? Would you like to add anything, sir?
Yes, sir. If you wish, I have a proposal that we had prepared for Corps of Engineers, just to give you an idea of where we're trying to head with this property. The actual use of the property is really not going to change, except for we're going to move away from the industrial boat repair that was there at one time, and in the end, it's going to be more of just a marina with the boat launch.
Would you go to the podium and your name and address, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Justin Warren, 1395 Shorttown Branch Road. But no, we're just going to take the property essentially the way it's used, try to improve it, move away from the industrial application that was there at one time, and make it more into, it's an existing campground. We're going to improve the campground and then improve the waterfront. We're currently working with the Corps to obtain our permits, but in the end, our goal is for it to be basically a place people can come and enjoy the river.
Any questions, concerns from the commission?
So I just want to be clear on this. So it was currently C1 and C2 and C3, but we're changing the zoning to A1? We're changing the entire thing to A1? Am I understanding that correctly? Staff or?
No, sir. They're also proposing a subdivision for this, and it's split into 2 lots.
Okay.
One lot's going to remain A1, the other lot is going to be C2 for outdoor use. And this is the request to go, it's basically clean that up. for lot one and then A1 for lot two.
Okay.
Any more questions? This time I close the public hearing and call for a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of Z230016.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. In conjunction with the Z230016, also have a subdivision case run with it. It's S23-0031. Mr. Martin?
Yes, as mentioned, it's a two-lot subdivision, the same property. Essentially, there are two parcels, and this is a resurvey of those two parcels. The new boundary line would follow this existing Shoretown Branch Road. It complies with all the zoning regulations. There's no anticipated road access or traffic operation issues. Right-of-way dedication will be required along Shoretown Branch Road and the Naval Reserve Road, 25 feet from center line, where adjacent to the property. As mentioned, floodplain is on here, portion of this, so any development on that lot would require a floodplain development permit. There's no sewer available, so the Department of Health will have to approve the on-site septic. Staff does recommend approval for this two-lot subdivision.
This time open a public hearing for any opposition. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is William Finnerty, Finerty. I live at 180 Barnes Road, just up the hill from the Clevengers Marina. My concern at this time, and by the way, I applaud them for wanting to upgrade that property down there. It needs it sorely. But my concern at this time is what kind of plans has been made with the county to maintain Shoretown Branch Road. It is poorly maintained now. And when they reopen the camp, and I hope it does well, but that's going to bring in more traffic, which is in turn going to tear this road up even worse. So I need to know what's going to be done about the road. The second thing is the fuel tank and fuel containment, the fuel pumps and what have you. What type of containment area is going to be around that tank? Because Valley Creek has had a terrible, terrible problem my entire life. I'm 70 years old, and I can never remember a time when we didn't have a problem with Valley Creek being a healthy body of water. It is now, just now, really beginning to come back into its own. I want to be sure that there's no fuel or anything like that can get into the water any way, shape, form, or fashion. You'll have open containers of fuel in the boats that come up in and out of there as it is. So we really want to protect that water body as much as we can. The wildlife there, it's a beautiful place, got a lot of wildlife there. I see deer right outside my house every day. And it's a retirement place. My mother-in-law lives right down the street. She's 90 years old, been there for forever. We all want to see this camp grow. We want to all see it prosper. But we also want to make sure that those kind of things are addressed in advance. Septic systems, I'm wondering about whether septic tanks are going to be suitable, because I was in the wastewater treatment business myself, and I have literally seen septic tanks float out of the ground because of the water in the ground from the river. Case in Greenup, Kentucky, in the Ohio River, where they just floated out of the ground. They are like boats. When they're not full, they will float out. And when they float out, they turn over. And all of that sewage goes right off into the water. I'm wondering about the possibility of a sewer or a sewage treatment facility there. The next thing, it takes 30 minutes to an hour for county police protection down there to get anybody out there. Is there a plan for a substation? If not, there should be. This is something that I would like to see addressed. I met Justin a few weeks ago and was very impressed with what he had to say, but I think there's some things that maybe they hadn't thought about that needs to be thought about, and that being some of them. How are we going to prevent anything from polluting that water. That water, that's a precious body of water that's been going through such a turmoil. We don't want to see it ruined. We really don't. Other than that, and I think my neighbors wish them all the success in the world, but we just want to get those things addressed. We have children there. You know, when you come down to that area, you're riding through a little crooked, very crooked wooded road down through there. And you don't see a lot of houses, but you see a few little driveways here and there. And you go off one driveway and it sprouts into many driveways and houses and all that. And these children are back in the woods out there. But you know, children do get out on the roads. Children do have to ride school buses. Children do have to stand on the side of the roads for the school buses. You know, we want to make sure that traffic is controlled. And that's all I've got to say about all of that. It just, we want to make sure that proper maintenance of the things that will keep the water safe, the children safe, the roads safe. And I also want to know if this store will be allowed to sell alcoholic beverages. I have been an entertainer for many years, and I can't tell you how many times I have seen fatalities leaving the river from people that's had too much to drink on the water. You can't control what people do out on their boat if you don't see it. But if you're selling it and it's there at the campground and then they try to leave, then it's a problem. Here we go back to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department maintaining control of that strip of road. So that's some of the issues that we have. Not complaining, but definitely want to see some more legwork done on it. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Warren, could you answer some of those questions? Some of them you can't. A lot of those are.
Absolutely. With regards to the fuels, and help me, I want to
come around where I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Help me remember everything you said. But with regards to the fuel system, obviously that will be permitted and submitted to building development. Currently, the preliminary plan is a double wall tank with double wall fuel lines with a sump trap under the pump. So that's
a containment area around it.
The double wall tank and the double wall.
That won't do it. I've been in the tank business too.
Let's all argue. He's telling you.
I'm just telling you what.
I'm just asking the question.
What we will submit to the county for approval.
Everybody to direct all their comments to the board and not each other.
Good point.
What we will submit to the county for approval will be a double wall tank with double wall fuel lines and a sump underneath. If that comes back for comment, we will address it. As with regards to the conditions of the road, yes, the road is not well. I have no control over whether the road gets paved or not or patched. Would I love to see more county patrols in our area? Absolutely. Currently, our deputy that's assigned to cover our area, his substation is at the McAdory substation. He reports every morning to a substation that is 45 to 50 minutes from the area he patrols. Once again, I have no control over that, but that's the situation we're in. Y'all may know the Oak Grove substation was closed down for some reason. As far as sales of alcohol, no. On one of the previous slides, the store will consist of sales of items for boater safety. Like if you show up and you realize you don't have enough life jackets, you need an air horn. It's going to be things to support boater safety, the mandatory items, maybe a few fun things, floats, things like that, and then things to support the campground, toilet paper, hose pipes, things that support campers. If you've ever been to a campground, those are the kind of things that the store will sell. Obviously, we'll probably have a fountain machine to sell fountain drinks, but no alcohol sales. We couldn't have got the C2 if we sold alcohol, correct? Yeah. So there's no alcohol sales. What else did you have?
Does that address your concerns?
Pretty much.
Oh, sewage.
Yeah.
We have engaged with White Systems. We're in the preliminary phase of designing the septic system to be submitted to the county for approval. We obviously will have a lift system in place to move it up away from the water area, the floodplain. But exactly what that looks like right now, I don't know. We just engaged with that. But once again, it will be designed, submitted to the county health department for review. If comments come back, we can address that. I believe the only thing I can't directly address is if a boater comes up and spills fuel. I can't control that. But we're going to do everything in a manner that the county approves, any drawings or anything else. I live on the adjacent property. I have 2 children that still live at home with me, and I have a granddaughter. I have every concern he has about the cleanliness of the creek and river that he does, because I intend to retire next door. So anyway,
Okay, thank you, sir. Does that help you out?
With all that being said, if he's going to do as he's saying right now and has got the plans in motion that he has, not only do I agree with it, but I'll lend my support.
Okay, I'm glad you're happy. Thank you. Any questions, concerns from the commission?
I just have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Warren,
yes, ma'am.
as far as you know, have there been incidents out there where you need to have the police?
Yes, ma'am, regularly.
Regularly?
Yes, ma'am. Matter of fact, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I know there was a break-in on Barnes Drive. The suspect was arrested and released, and then on Monday, Memorial Day, he was found to be trespassing on the same property that he broke into several weeks ago. I know the gentleman went Tuesday to file charges for him trespassing. But yes, ma'am.
Does that have anything to do with your campground?
No, ma'am, not that
That's what I'm asking.
Oh, no, immediately with the campground, yes. In the past, there's been issues under the previous management. We have closed the campground except for one longtime person that's there. There were a couple permanent campers that were not code compliant or whatever. We've already removed one, and I've given eviction notice to the other so that we can bring that aspect of the campground in compliance. But yes, previously there were issues at the campground. Matter of fact, there's an ongoing court case about one of those. I was not involved, but I have eliminated the major root cause of that to help prevent that. But in the community proper, yes, we still have issues.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? This time I close the public hearing, call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, what is this subdivision?
This subdivision case 230031.
I'll defer to Commissioner O'Neill. You can do it. You want to do it?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of X 230031. I second, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our next zoning case is Z23-0017, Mark Lee and Kelly McAuliffe. Mr. Brown, will you present the case, please?
Yes, sir. As you mentioned, this is case Z2317. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from I-3 industrial to A1 agricultural to allow a single-family dwelling. This property is located at 2501 Creel Road, the Barris area. Your area map shows you, you can vaguely see it, but it's a 40-acre tract. It's mostly wooded, and there are few pigtail trails that run through this property. The future land use plan designates this property as agricultural property. Your current zoning map shows that the property has a zoning classification of industrial. This is the street view. Shows your property's vacant and undeveloped for the most part. It's just overgrown. And staff is recommending approval. The development proposal is consistent with development patterns in the area. Again, we're talking about one single-family dwelling on 40 acres. The proposed A1 zone is consistent with the county's long-range land use plan designation of agricultural. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
This time open public hearing for any opposition. Is the applicant here? Would you like to add anything to it, sir? This time I close the public hearing. Call for a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve Z 23-017.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Our second case is Z 23-0018, the Hampton Family Properties. Charles Camille Gistanger, I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, applicant Joe Schifano. Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir. This is case Z2318. The rezoning request is to rezone the 5749, 5755, 5801, and 5811 Charles Hamilton Road in the McCalla area from A1 agricultural to R6 zoning district, which was the original zoning request to allow a 134-unit residential subdivision. I'll say at this point here, staff is actually recommending in place of the R6, RG, single family. And the reason for that is the RG zoning district does not allow mobile homes. The R6 zoning district does. I'll keep going with the presentation. So the aerial map here shows you that this property contains 68.2 acres, just mostly vacant. However, Valley Creek tributaries run through this property. The existing land use map shows you that part of the property to the east is vacant and undeveloped, and the other half, I guess at one time, it was agricultural. The future land use plan shows you that Valley Creek runs north and west of the property. However, the future land use plan designates this property for single-family residential, and what's being proposed, again, is a single-family residential subdivision. This is the street-level view of the site from 5811 Charles Hamilton Road. And this is the applicant's conceptual site development plan. It shows the 134-unit subdivision layout along with the roads and cul-de-sacs. There are also 5 stormwater detention ponds. It shows access from Charles Hamilton Road. And so what staff is recommending, Mr. Chairman, is, again, the RG zone district in place of the R6 zone district. The site conceptual development plan does comply with the RG zone district development criteria with respect to lot width, lot size, and setback requirements. Concerning, however, is the Alabama transmission line that traverses the site, which I failed to mention here. Does this work? Yeah. So here is that Alabama transmission line. There's nothing in our zoning ordinance that provides protection or setbacks from the adjacent lots that are proposed on both sides of this transmission line. Alabama Power may or may not require a buffer. And I'm sure Mr. Joe Schifano would have an answer to that question. I don't. Back to the recommendation. Staff is recommending approval. Lastly, as I mentioned earlier, the Valley Creek tributaries run throughout this property. The applicant is showing wetland protection for those tributaries. To the north, you see these detention ponds, and so these tributaries flow into those 2 detention ponds. And staff is recommending approval. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
This time open the floor for any opposition to this case. Please state your name and address. Sure. Let me remind opposition, limited to 15 minutes total for everybody.
Sure. My name is Joni Green, 5671 Charles Hamilton Road. There are 2 other addresses that are represented with our lot as well on tax parcel as rental properties. Each one of these properties are greater than 1 acre per, as is common for all adjacent properties in this area. I would like to also point out that my attorney, Benjamin Hutton, submitted in writing the letter of our opposal to this rezoning yesterday, as is directed from the notice that we received. There are others present today, if you'll stand, that would like to also submit their opposing this. There are also those in attendance online through the Facebook meeting that you are broadcasting that are opposed as well. As noted, There is a creek that runs through this property. There are also wells on the adjacent property that are used to water livestock and other garden-type applications of use of their properties. We are concerned about the runoff and the development with the density, the high density of this development it's going to create. In addition, they said they've done no traffic studies. This amount of homes being put in on this two-lane road, I have a picture right now on my phone of the last wreck that occurred. They actually showed, if you want to click back to the road view, the hill that's right there in the back, as you can see, this is the wreck that just occurred recently from that curve and coming down. Increased traffic would only increase, yes, right here. That's where this wreck occurred. Increasing the traffic for this entrance is less than 500 foot from where this last wreck occurred. With the increased traffic, I don't think that not doing a traffic study is wise. There should be one. There should also be environmental studies conducted for the safety of the water source. For those who have wells on the adjacent property, our property, if you want to click, will you get to the plot that shows the other? Yeah, I'll let you drive.
Which one?
Go back one. Yes. So I can do from this one. Our property is this property that butts up next to it. This one here is also represented here today, and some of the others that are here and here that are directly adjacent. We all have wells on our properties, and we recommend that this be denied. Anything that puts houses in this area that exceeds one house per acre is excessive because it does not match the other developments and housings adjacent to it. In addition, I am concerned about, in our letter, we pointed out that there are some historical nature possibilities of being on this property. There have been arrowheads found on our property, which is adjacent directly to this. I'd like to know if there have been any studies done for that to make sure there's no historical significance with burial grounds on this property that is proposed to be developed. With that, we recommend that this be tabled for further discussion or denied. Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak in opposition? Yes, sir.
My name's Blake Champion. I'm at 5901 Charles Hamilton Road. I'm on the south side of the proposed property. The subdivision that he's proposing will run the entire north border of my property. Like she spoke, I'm not going to repeat what she said. I agree with everything that she said. I also have a market garden on my place. The way that land lies, it doesn't matter how many retention ponds they put in. I know we're going to get runoff. The other concern that I have is more of a community-wide, to bounce off what she said about the proposed number of houses on this amount of acreage, which my rough math comes to about 0.4 or less acre per house. Just the sheer rooftops and asphalt that's going to be put on this property, creating runoff that's going to be dumped into and around Valley Creek that the gentleman before spoke about that's been having problems environmentally for years. The entire area is already congested due to industrial growth. There's a Home Depot distribution plant. There is a grocery store distribution plant, and they're building a new Smucker's plant down the road. The area is not going to support this traffic. We have a volunteer fire department. I do not see how a fire department that's overworked and overstressed now can handle this influx. Police the same, and our school system. I do not see how an overstressed school system as it is now is going to take another influx of 134 homes. I agree with her. My proposal is to deny this based on those facts.
or table it for further discussion. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else like to speak in opposition?
Hi, my name is Keith McCoy. I live at 5733 Charles Hamilton. Okay. This property right here is ours. We have about 2 acres right here on the edge of it. My concern is the density of this many houses in the area and the fact that there has been no traffic report run. A lot of cars fly up and down this road right here. It is very narrow, it's very thin, or it's just not wide, and people travel very fast. It's going to be a whole lot of traffic, especially through all the construction that's going to be done. How will those roads be treated after the work has been done? I would ask that this just be tabled for further discussion or until traffic report and some of this other information comes out. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Anybody else? Mr. Shabano, would you like to see if you can answer some of the questions, concerns?
Hello, I'm Zach Parrish. I'm one of the applicants.
Okay.
3981 Pine Lane, Bessemer, Alabama, 35022. What we're proposing is 2 units per acre, which really for the McCalla area that this is located in is not out of sorts. There are neighboring communities that are similar density to this. Of course, with respect to traffic and drainage.
Can you speak into the mic?
I'm sorry, yeah, with respect to traffic and drainage, we would conform with all the permitting requirements when we submit our plans with
Have you conducted
traffic
a traffic study?
We have not yet. No, this is the first phase of the due diligence. Happy to ask any or answer any questions.
Have you conducted any environmental studies?
Environmental studies will be required by our lenders, so they're always performed.
Have you got a letter or anything from the fire department about the coverage, if they're able to sustain that coverage?
We could obtain that. We could obtain that as a condition, a will serve letter.
Have you had a meeting with the residents?
No, sir.
No, sir. Talk to them about it? Would you be opposed to it?
No, sir, would not.
They have some legitimate concerns in that area. That's a lot of houses going in there. And I know McAdor is a volunteer fire department. They're stretched thin too, like everybody else. I would like to see a letter from the fire department with their response on how they can cover it if they can.
Yeah.
And also, there needs to be a traffic study before, my opinion, before anything can be done.
Okay.
That is going to be a major concern for that area.
Could we request at this time to continue?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If you want to do that, absolutely. I think that'd be good. And also, maybe want to meet with the people here, talk to them after the meeting, and maybe have a meeting with them and explain everything.
Yeah.
They may or may not have a different outlook on it, but definitely going to need a traffic study and a letter from the fire department.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Yeah,
Is that
we can do
what
that.
you want to do?
Yes, please.
Okay. Would y'all be opposed to a meeting, Mr. Parrish?
I'm not opposed to a meeting. I'm going to have a tough time with a meeting right afterwards.
Yeah, he could get your information, and y'all could set up a meeting.
Sure.
That'd be all right? Okay. Mr. Parrish, is that your wish to have this continued? Yes, sir.
I would like to also add that they should.
Now, you need to come to the podium, please.
Suzanne Birchfield, 5941 Charles Hamilton Road. We back up to the property, and it'll be a downhill flow for us too. But the thing that concerns me mostly is the school system is not going to be able to handle. They're already in trailers, the kids are. There's no way they can. 134 houses, 2 children apiece. We're talking 300 kids. Where are we going to put those? You know, they have to be educated. There's 1 or 2 private schools, but they're small. So it's just too many properties. Two houses per acre. That's too much. Too much. Way too much. One house per acre would be what the area is settled as, and just because you need more people, need houses, you shouldn't put it on the back of people that have lived there for 40 years and all their lives and have deep roots for the school and the community and the fire protection. All of that needs to be considered. I'd like a report from every one of them saying how they feel about it.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Come up, podium, please.
My name is Wade Lowry. I'm with Engineering Design Group, company that put together the site plan. And I just want to shed some light on a couple of the items that were brought up by staff. Absolutely. 120 Bishop Circle. We're in Pelham. So if I could be educated on how to get back to the site plan. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. So one of the things that was mentioned was the Alabama Power does in fact have a distribution line through the site. And we've noted that and kind of absolutely taken that into account with the layout. You'll notice that no homes or single-family, residential homes or lots would be within that easement of theirs. The next thing that kind of came up was the discussion of the tributaries of the creek that run through the property. Yes, those are there. There are features of streams and wetlands which would fall more than likely under the jurisdiction of the Corps of Engineers. There's a consultant on the team also that has delineated those features, meaning they've gone out there and verified what they are and where they are so that we can take all that into account when we develop the site plan. So those things are known, and we know that we must deal with those as professionals when we move forward through the development of civil engineering plans. I think that those are just really the two items that I wanted to bring up that I heard kind of questions from staff about, and I hope that is helpful. That's really it. Yes, yeah, and so I would say, and I know that I'm going to get some funny looks and smirks out of what I'm about to say, but so on the site plan today, there's 134 lots depicted. At the end of all things, will there be exactly 134 lots on that plan? Probably not. Maybe a few less, maybe a few more, but when we put together a site plan, we do the best we can to know what's feasible, okay, what's reality that can be shown on the plan. And so when you get into traffic studies, when that is performed, you would study that existing traffic movements along Charles Hamilton Road to count, and so we know how many cars are traveling the road every day and what their average or 85th percentile speed will be. But with 134 lots, I've done this many times, and I'm not a traffic engineer, but I could see that when we talk about traffic, we talk about peak hours, in the morning when we all go to work, in the afternoon when we all come home from work and school. So we have a lot of experience with these, and I would estimate that the peak hour number of trips on 134 lots would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 70 trips in the morning and 40 to 50 trips in the afternoon. Now, how is that possible, right, with 134 houses? Well, everybody that lives in a place they may be retired. They may not all have to leave during the rush hour or come home during the rush hour of traffic. So just don't take that as a formal number, but that's kind of the numbers you could expect to see with a development like this. And of course, any traffic recommendation that came back would talk about the ability of the existing road and nearby intersections to handle that load of traffic that comes there. That would be spelled out in that report. So I just wanted to kind of highlight those things for everyone. Great. Yeah.
No, Wade's addressed it.
or Mr. Lowry's addressed it, and part of that study would be looking into those nearby intersections where Charles Hamilton intersects with Old Tuscaloosa and 4th Avenue is something that we would need to be looking into as well as part of that study, and any improvements that might be necessitated by the additional trip generation of this development with the density that it's at.
Yeah, and I think the last point just to talk about is, when we do these things, when we draw maps and things, we look at future growth models for the county or the city that we're in. And according to the current future growth, this area, and it kind of applies to northeast and southwest of our parcel, is in an intended growth swath of land per the future growth plan of the county. Now, that may make no difference to anybody in the room, but that is one of the reasons the client wanted to look at this area, is because it is in an area of intended growth. So anyway, I'll sit down and be quiet. Thank you all.
Larry, I have one more question
Yes,
for
sir.
you. I believe on that sketch there at this scale, it's very hard to read, but I believe it was intended or noted that this was going to be built out in phases over a number of year period.
That's right. That's right. Typically, with a development of this size, like I say, 134 lots on this plan, you would probably be looking at 3 to 4 phases, depending on the market, right? We do things market-driven is how we make our decisions. So you might have blocks of, 40, 45 lots at a time built.
Okay, so the phased approach was, as illustrated, there aren't any intentions for additional development of this site to the west?
No.
To that stub out as shown?
Yeah, that's a great point. There is a stub out shown at the western boundary of the property. And what we usually do is, should in the future another developer want to come along and develop west of this particular piece of property, the good neighbor thing to do under design is leave some sort of potential access for connectivity so that we don't landlock adjacent properties. Well, we have no idea we don't know anything about that western adjacent property. And the last thing, I keep saying the last thing, but we have 2 access points shown to Charles Hamilton Road. The northernmost, and like I say, this is a conceptual plan. Nothing is final that you see on the drawing, but the northernmost of these 2 access points is meant to be a full access, right? You can turn into or out of the subdivision in any direction you'd want to go. The southern of the 2 is meant to be a right in, right out only. That, in concept, we think that that's a pretty good scenario for how we access the property. So, okay, thank you all.
Mr. Parrish is requesting this be carried over. 2 things we'll need is a traffic study and also a letter from the fire department regarding their assessment of their coverage on that. Is that what you agree with? Okay.
Environmental.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions?
I do have one more. As it's pointed out in our letter from our attorney, this property owner lives in Spivey, Georgia, so they will not have to deal with the repercussions of this development as we will, neighbors. It is, Alabama state law prohibits development for the sake of dollars only. By doing this with this high density, it is representative of a dollar grab instead of staying true to what our neighborhood is, 1 acre or more per lot. So I just want you to remember that and keep that in consideration. I also, we are Native American. I am on Alabama's Native American Roll 5378. I would like for a historical survey to be done of the site that's adjacent to us for that nature.
I'm Patricia Gamble. I live at 5671 Charles Hamilton Road. As far as the traffic part, I have security cameras that pick up, and that video that we had was in my yard that flipped up into the yard, missed a pear tree and a pole, and wound up in my rental house covered. Also, just recently, another car sped down the road, took out one of my rental properties, a mailbox, and the waste management thing. And on the other side, several months before, one was coming in the other direction and took a telephone pole past the fire department. And you can look at my cameras on the traffic that's on that road. And I bet I have over 100 cars that pass my house every day. Thank you.
I think this time, the time that allotted has expired. Mr. Parrish's wish that this be carried over. In the meantime, we want a traffic study and a fire department letter. What you're talking about, I have no clue, ma'am. That's outside my scope of authority as far as that. And I would think that if there was some kind of sacred ground, we would already know that. It would already be exposed.
Historical sites for that.
Okay, okay. Well, I asked Ms. Parrish would get with the residents and talk with them and see if y'all work it out before the next meeting. Y'all will be notified of the next meeting about the same matter in which you were this time. This time I call for a motion. Ms. Parrish wishes to carry this case over.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we carry over 823-0018.
Mr. Chair, I second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Our next case is Z23-0009, property owner Charles Sapp. This is site agriculture rendering approval.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This property is located at 4477 Valley Road in the Trustful area. The applicant is Grant Gramstad with Paradigm Architecture. What you see here is the location. Sure. I'm sorry.
I can't.
Y'all ready? Okay, again, the property is located at 4477 Valley Road in the Trustful area. The applicant is Grant Gramstad at Paradigm Architecture. Below is where the applicant is requesting. Let me go back. On May 11th this year, the County Commission recommending rezoning of this property from A1 to C1 for commercial use. With one condition, and that condition is that the architectural and elevation plans be reviewed and approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. And that's what we're here for today. Below is the location map. In the purple looking area is where the map is located within Jefferson County. Here's the area view of the lot outlined in red. The lot is currently zoned now commercial. The existing land use shows part of the property as vacant undeveloped property. To the left and to the right is low-density residential. Currently on the property is an abandoned house. What we have now here is the conceptual site development plan that was submitted by the applicant. The applicant is proposing a new 4,000 square foot single-story pre-engineered metal building for a contractor's office. The applicant is also proposing a future 4,000 square foot building at a later date. The ingress and egress will be from Valley Road. The setbacks for the property are 35 on each side with the exception of that 10-foot setback where this property is adjacent to commercial property within the city limits of Trustful. The applicant is proposing 22 parking spaces. Here's an architectural rendering of what the building would look like. Here we have the architectural elevation renderings that were submitted by the applicant. The first two, the longer portions, would be the size of the building, and there at the bottom would be the rear of the building to the left and the front of the building to the right. I also have some pictures of the surrounding area. To the east, I'm showing vacant undeveloped land. Across the street to the west of the lot is a C1 commercial building, and it has outside storage. To the north, the building that I was initially referring to that's 10 feet away is a commercial strip within the city limits of Trustful. And to the south of that lot is a property within the city limits of Trustful. It's zoned, well, I'm not sure what it's zoned, but it's residential use. You can see a mobile home and a gazebo there. Staff summary and recommendation. The proposed architecture is in keeping with the character in the area, and staff recommends approval, but it's actually at the discretion of the P&Z committee for the approval of this plan. That's all I have, Commissioner.
This time open up public hearing for any opposition. Applicant here. Any questions, concerns from the commission? I'll ask for a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve D 23-0009.
Second.
Have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Our next case is Z22-0053, property owner Mark Ward. Ms. Hughes?
Yes, sir. This property is located at 3236 Mount Olive Road in the Mount Olive area. Here we have the location map showing where this property is located within Jefferson County. This is another review for the architectural drawings. This property was approved rezoning in March of last year, 2022, by the County Commission with the stipulation or the condition that the architectural drawings had to be reviewed and approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Here we have the area image of this property outlined in the gold. The current zoning is commercial. The conceptual development. This applicant is proposing a 10,640 square foot commercial building with a minimum of 43 off-street parking spaces on a little over an acre. The ingress and egress will be from Mount Olive Road. This property shows the commercial setbacks is 35, which is in compliance with the exception of the one to the bottom or to the south of the building. I have 35 there, but the applicant on the plan actually proposed it as 100. I do believe that the applicant, not 100, as 0, thank you, Willie, as 0. I do believe that the applicant can meet the setbacks, and I have spoken with the applicant about this, and he's supposed to submit me something else. In the event that he cannot meet the minimum required setbacks of 35 feet, a variance will be necessary. Here's the architectural structures that were submitted for the Dollar General at this location. Street view, this is the street view of where the Dollar General will be placed. To the east of the lot, we have an abandoned house. To the west, we have a house and a church. Right across the street, we have Mount Olive Fire Department. And to the rear, which is actually on the next street, we have a residence as well. Staff summary and recommendation. Again, a variance may be needed if the applicant is unable to meet the minimum side setback of 35 feet. Staff recommends that the approval is at the discretion of the Planning and Zoning Commission. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
This time open floor for any opposition. Applicant here. Any questions, concerns from the commission? I call for a motion, please.
Chairman, I make a motion that we approve case D 22-0053.
I second, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We got through this.
He said, I got through. You have to adjourn there.
Impeach me, please.
It's a motion to adjourn.
Impeach me.
Meeting is officially adjourned.